Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I'm your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash. And tonight we have a Thursday night football game to dive into between the Arizona Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints. So Steve, also known as Miller Time, and I are going to break this down. So Steve, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's a home game for the Cardinals. I don't know if everyone knows, but I live in Arizona, so it was a game that I was trying to get to go to tonight, but unfortunately didn't work out. But I'm excited for the game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're new to the channel, if you would give us a like and hit the subscribe button, and also make sure that you hit the alarm bell. That will let you know when our next podcast has gone live or been recorded if it's a recording. And so go ahead, Steve. Let's go ahead and get into this game tonight. Who are you looking at as your top pay-up player?
Player I'm looking at is the guy I'm looking at, Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is going to have hopefully he's going to have a really solid game, first half and second half. Usually he's a second half player up to now. Through the first 6 weeks, he's kind of been a second half player, but hopefully he puts it all together this week and gets a real solid performance out of him.
Absolutely. And it looks like he is the highest, no surprise here, he is the highest projected owned player. He's looking at about 71% ownership with a 15% ownership at the captain spot on DraftKings and 80% on FanDuel, 21% in the MVP. So do you have him in your captain spot, or are you looking elsewhere for that?
Well, for my cash games, I'm kind of going with him in my captain spot. If I'm going to the GPP type of play, I have other guys in that spot.
Okay. For me, I usually provide more of a single entry cash type lineup. I am looking at Kyler Murray as my captain, and in the GPP looking elsewhere as well. So who would be your second favorite play tonight after Murray?
My second favorite play after Murray is going to go with Eno Benjamin.
Okay.
I know the Saints have a good rush defense. I don't think James Conner's playing tonight.
Right.
I do like Alvin Kamara on the other side. However, I think I like Eno Benjamin tonight.
Okay. Yeah. It looks like the Saints are about 20th in fantasy points allowed to running backs. So they're not quite as stout as they have been.
Right.
Based on what I was looking at statistically. So we do have the inactives for the Cardinals. It's James Conner, Rodney Hudson, Dennis Gardeck, Trayvon Mullen, Matt Prater, Lecitus Smith. Is that how you say that? And then Darrell Williams. So both running backs, Darrell Williams and James Conner, are out. So that'll definitely give the bulk of the carries to Benjamin. So for me, I do like Benjamin because, like I said, at first I was kind of thinking maybe I don't want to play him because the Saints' run defense and everything has been so good over the last several years. But the way they've been this year so far, where they haven't been as stout, and the amount of carries that I think Benjamin will get, I think it's going to be a good night for Benjamin as well. So what about on the other side? Do you like Kamara, or do you like
I'd like Kamara. Sure, he's a very high price ticket right now. Kamara hasn't gotten has Kamara gotten into the end zone this year?
Let me check. I'll tell you real quick. No, he has not.
He has not gotten in the end zone this year. So maybe he gets into the end zone tonight. I think most likely if he's going to get into the end zone, it's going to have to be off of like a 20-yard run or 20-yard catch. I think when they get down within the goal line, within the 5, I think we'll see some of that wildcat type of stuff with Taysom Hill tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I like Kamara. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to both him and Benjamin, so I'm probably going to have to decide between the two. But I'm probably leaning more towards Benjamin actually at this point. So that's where I'm looking. And then what about at wide receiver? Who do you like for Arizona?
It's the welcoming of DeAndre Hopkins tonight. Not sure how. I'm sure he's going to. He's been waiting for this game since he got suspended. He was trying to get in a lot sooner, trying trying to appeal all the things, but unfortunately he had to wait till week 7 to make his appearance. That being said, I try to put him in my lineups tonight. Again, he hasn't really played. Well, he hasn't played since last year, and then last year when he played, he was kind of a bust last year. So it's an exciting moment for DeAndre Hopkins and the Arizona Cardinals to have him available. But I'm actually fading him tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that direction as well. And like you said, after he came back from that injury, he didn't really do much. He came back in week 13 last year. And so, yeah, this is a long time for him to go in between games. So he could definitely be pretty rusty. Are you looking at, with that being said, are you looking at Rondale Moore or another Arizona receiver, or do you like any of the Arizona receivers? Rondale Moore?
Well, I like Rondale Moore. He had 10 targets 2 weeks ago. He had 8 targets last week. He's involved in the offense, played over 90% of the plays for the Cardinals last week. So, with first things first, you got to be in the game in order to have opportunity. And with that type of target share, I like Rondale Moore tonight. I also like Zach Ertz. I like Zach Ertz. Maybe I think it's going to be difficult for those linebackers to make it. I think they're going to have to hold their ground and stay home and not over pursue Kyler Murray. So I think they're going to be kind of on their heels all night, and I think Zach Ertz can benefit from that.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense if they were to spy him, spy Murray with a linebacker, and then Ertz is going to be wide open. So that would make a lot of sense. Any other receivers or tight ends or anything you like on Arizona, or is that about it?
That's kind of where I'm at with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't like DeAndre Hopkins in this situation. I think we got to give him at least 2 to 3 games to kind of see how he fits in, because this is a different, totally different offense as far as weapons and stuff than when he was playing with Arizona before. So, because Rondale Moore wasn't really established, Zach Ertz wasn't there before, and then Benjamin. So all those factors combined, I'm not going to DeAndre Hopkins. I do like Rondale Moore. He's kind of taken over that Christian Kirk role, and that's the other thing. Christian Kirk was with Arizona before too when Hopkins was playing. So,
what do you think about Robbie Anderson?
Robbie Anderson, he's not supposed to get very many snaps tonight. I think he is available, but he probably won't play more than like 10 to 15 snaps. So I wouldn't go to him just yet. But I do think that he could be a good fit. How do you feel about Robbie Anderson?
I think he'll be a good fit. I think he plays that Christian Kirk take it off the top type of role where he can extend the defenses, and it's going to be interesting because when Kyler Murray gets flustered in this and you see him rolling out of the pocket, I'm just wondering if Robbie Anderson can play that backyard type football where he can get himself open when Kyler Murray's rolling out of the pocket.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I like that call. And we'll just have to see, like I said, going forward, what the snap percentage looks like. I would think AJ Green is going to lose some snaps with Robbie Anderson there. I think that he's going to kind of be pushed out a little bit just because he hasn't really done that much. And, they traded for Robbie Anderson for a reason. So
right. Yeah.
Okay, so for the Saints, what are you looking at as far as the wide receivers? I like Chris Olave, and I'm not as high on Marquez Callaway, but I guess you could probably look at him as a second option just because with Michael Thomas and the name escapes me right now. Somebody else is out for them tonight. Who is it?
It's I can't think of it. What does the report say? I don't have it in front of me.
It is Jarvis Landry.
Landry. Yep. Yeah.
So Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are both out. Yeah.
So with Chris Olave, I mean, he's going to get a bunch of targets tonight. Arizona Cardinals defense isn't very, they're not really good overall. Everyone's able to run and pass on them. I do like Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara is going to get some yardage. I just don't know, man. It's one of those things until you start producing, it's tough to trust into someone.
Yeah, it really is. Now, is Andy Dalton starting for them today?
Andy Dalton is starting tonight. That was
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, that's another reason I don't really like the receivers for the Saints as much, just because I don't really trust Andy Dalton. I mean, on the road, it's kind of a raucous environment sometimes. I think it will be tonight in prime time, So I could see Dalton throwing a couple picks. So
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
I mean, you might want to go with the Cardinals defense tonight. You never know.
It's kind of what I was alluding to there a little bit. On the tight ends for the Saints, do you like Jawan Johnson? He's getting quite a bit of ownership.
Like I kind of said this week in and week out. You play the odds with Taysom Hill. You might get a huge game and then you might get a dud. You might get a huge game, you might get a dud. If they're in a situation where they're getting to Andy Dalton and they need to establish the running game, I believe that they're going to run a lot of RPOs with Taysom Hill tonight. Yeah. He's going to be behind center, and they're going to try to establish that run so that the defense comes up and plays them tight to allow for the receivers to get open downfield. So I like Taysom Hill tonight. I know it's kind of one of those, he's a tight end, but kind of a quarterback or running back or whatever the heck he is. But I like Taysom Hill tonight.
Yeah, his ownership is looks like on DraftKings it's about 13%, whereas Jawan Johnson is at 25%. But Johnson's 3,000, whereas Taysom Hill's 7,200. Yeah, so that's the reason why his ownership is quite a bit lower. But I feel like Taysom Hill definitely has a much higher ceiling.
For sure.
So for a GPP, I think Taysom Hill would be a really good play because he's going to be, he's one of these guys. Somebody in my fantasy league and season long spent, I don't know how much of their salary, way too much, but he's one of these guys that you go out and spend that salary. He lets you down one week, but then he rewards it the next, and I think that this could be a bounce back week after what happened last week with Taysom Hill getting like 4.5 points only. So it could be a nice night for him. Like you said, they could be running that RPO quite a bit. So I like that call.
And the thing about the Arizona Cardinals offense is they are like a high tempo, quick offense. They're on the ball immediately. They run no huddle constantly. So their drives don't take very long. Last week when the Saints played Cincinnati, they kind of got off to an early lead. Cincinnati came back, but Cincinnati's drives and time of possession kind of took over the game. So I think the Saints will have a lot of possessions tonight, which matters a lot for offense.
Yeah, for sure. What about the kickers? Do you like either one of the kickers in this game?
No, like you were saying, Matt Prater is inactive tonight. So I'm not a huge fan on Matt. Or I don't even know who the backup is. I think Eno Benjamin kicks though, so potentially Eno Benjamin comes in and gets you 3 points.
I didn't even know he did that, but that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Let me see real quick. Oh, it looks like it's going to be Rodrigo Blankenship, the guy that used to kick.
Oh, really? So they brought him in.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy that he was like one of the number one kickers for and for the Colts to get rid of him. I don't know. I don't know what happened over there, but I think that's a pretty good pickup. Matt Prater might not get his job back.
Right. And it looks like he's not. That's crazy. It looks like he's not on DraftKings or FanDuel. So
one of those situations.
Probably can't use him. Yeah, that's unfortunate because he is, like you said, he's a pretty solid kicker. Yep. And I mean, for a backup kicker, that's a pretty solid move. So,
yeah, goggles.
Yeah, exactly. And the defenses, I think we alluded to it a little bit with the Cardinals defense. Is that your top defense in this game? Do you like the Saints defense at all, or?
Just the ability that Kyler Murray has, and if he can put it all together in a single game, I think I don't think the Saints defense is gonna get you many points tonight.
Okay.
However, if the play calling continues and the way things have been going in the past with the Cardinals, the Saints defense might be able to get you some points. But I think at home on Thursday night, primetime game, I think the Cardinals are going to put something together, and I think double points, or at least I think they'll win this game by 10 points.
And I don't know if you knew this or not. I think I read this. They've lost 8 straight home games. Is that right?
Yeah, they've lost a lot of home games.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
My wife
think they end the streak
yeah.
tonight, but yeah, that's
My wife and I had season tickets, and they were incredible when we went. A couple years ago. It was Kyler Murray's, what was it, first or second year? But anyways, yeah, it was a fun environment. It got real exciting, especially on the primetime games. They won every game on primetime. So
right.
hopefully that happens tonight.
Yeah, that's wild to me. They've lost 8 in a row at home.
Eight home games.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like Arizona's defense as well. And for me, it's more about the quarterback on the other side. I think Andy Dalton's going to force some things, and it's going to give some opportunities for the Cardinals defense. So, like the Cardinals defense. What about our presenting sponsor, Boom Fantasy? Do you have a Boom Fantasy play?
Well, I have a long shot play. I think Kyler Murray, based on game script and this and that, I think Kyler Murray could get, for a long shot, I think he's going to get a 300-yard game tonight.
Wow. Okay.
And as far as on the other side of the ball, I think Alvin Kamara could have over 59.5 yards receiving tonight.
Okay.
Yep. I think they'll find ways to get him the ball. Hopefully, he gets in the end zone tonight, but we shall see.
Okay. I'm going to go with Chris Olave over 64.5 receiving yards. And then these are the toss-ups. So these are not quite as high of a payout, but they still give you some money for your investment. And then Kyler Murray over 1.5 passing touchdowns. So those are going to be my Boom Fantasy plays. Let's look and see what the questions are. If you guys have any questions here in the comment section, I don't see any. If anyone has any questions, if you guys could fill those out. We are going to cut it short tonight. It's just Steve and I, and we got a lot going on. All 3 sports, major sports are in action. So we are going to cut it short. But if anyone has any questions real quick, let's just take a minute or two and see what comes in. Let's see. Let me see if there's anything else.
Any Juwan Johnson love? Yeah, Crash, you were talking about that.
Yeah, I was. He is getting quite a bit of ownership. Like I said, he's about 25% on DraftKings, and he is almost 18% on FanDuel. So, yeah, decent amount of ownership for a tight end. He's only 6,500 on FanDuel and 3,000, almost min price on DraftKings. So,
is Marshawn Lattimore playing tonight?
Marshawn Lattimore is out. So
he is out.
Yeah. He sure is. So I think that'll probably cause more people to go to Hopkins. But like we said, the situation with him coming back from injury, you never know what's going to happen. I know the last couple of games he tried to come back. It seemed like he was hurt within the first quarter. So it's been a lingering injury, to say the least. Thoughts on Robbie Anderson? So we talked a little bit about Robbie Anderson. Steve, do you want to retouch on that real quick?
Yeah. So with Robbie Anderson, he was kind of one of my sleeper plays last week, just being teamed up with PJ Walker. But I mean, they brought him in pretty quick. There's a lot of other teams that could have benefited from Robbie Anderson. Specifically the Packers could have benefited from him.
Yeah.
The Giants could have benefited from him. But the Cardinals got on him quick, and they got him out here. And how much he's going to play tonight? Well, I know he's in shape. It's not like he hasn't been playing.
Yeah.
Well, or at least practicing, and he hasn't been injured. So maybe he's just going to come in with that chip on his shoulder and make the most of it. But I think with the first week of practice back, when DeAndre Hopkins is running with the number ones and this and that, I don't see Robbie Anderson getting much, having those timing routes and the connection that you need to get with your quarterback. So even though I'm fading DeAndre Hopkins, I'm kind of fading Robbie Anderson tonight. He might make a splash, huge play tonight. But I don't see much happening with him.
Okay. got a feeling that Ingram, I think he means Mark Ingram. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, it's either that or Keontae. Well, Ingram, the other Ingram spells it the other way. There's Keontae Ingram, who's the backup for the Cardinals.
Yeah,
that the rookie that came in, which I think he had like 5 or 6 carries last week. He played a little bit, but then again, Eno Benjamin played like I think he played 87% of the snaps on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're talking about Keontae Ingram, I would stay away from both Ingrams.
Both Mark and Keontae.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says, got a feeling that Ingram scores and has over 50 yards. Cards defense isn't all that. So he's talking about Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram.
Yeah. So if I was going to play Mark Ingram, it would definitely be on FanDuel, not DraftKings, because he's not a receiving back. So I would definitely lean towards him on FanDuel, if anything. But like you said, probably not going to go to him. Mm-hmm. Any other questions before we go? Let's see.
Saints backup, running back. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. It's Mark. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will be back on Saturday night, like we always are, for our Week 7 podcast. And Coach will be back with us then. So we will do our giveaways. We weren't able to do the giveaway tonight, but we apologize for that. But we will be back with the giveaways on Saturday. Hope you guys have a great night. Hope you enjoy the game. Hopefully it'll be a better primetime
game. Hopefully the defenses aren't the leading scorers.
Yeah, the defense and the kickers aren't optimal. So, all right, guys, hope you have a good night. We will be back Saturday when we look to crush it in NFL, DFS, and Boom Fantasy. Thank you.